The alien marketplace was loud, dusty, and full of strange smells. Jonas Hawley walked slowly through the broken stalls, trying not to step on the cracked metal plates on the ground. He had visited many planets before, but this place always felt different, colder, harsher, and full of people who had forgotten kindness. Vendors shouted prices. Children begged. Traders argued over damaged machines. But one sound cut through everything, a man calling out loud, "5 credits. Only 5, take her away. She is useless." Jonas turned. In the center of a small crowd stood a tiny alien girl. Her skin was pale blue, but covered in dust. Her dark hair fell over her face like a curtain. She hugged her knees, shaking as if she was freezing. People laughed at her. Some covered their noses. "She stinks," someone said. "She cannot talk," another one added. "She is weak. Can't even lift a stone." The auctioneer pushed her forward. She stumbled and fell to her knees. The crowd laughed louder. Jonas felt something uncomfortable in his chest. He didn't even know her name, but the way she trembled. It didn't look like weakness. It looked like fear. Jonas hated markets like this. But something in his mind whispered, "Don't walk away this time." A loud shove made the girl fall again. She tried to stand, but her legs were too weak. No one helped her. Useless alien. The auctioneer shouted, "Someone just take her." 5 credits. Jonas had spent 5 credits on worse things before: cheap tools, broken scanners, even a cup of bad space coffee. But this was different. 5 credits for a life? A living being? He stepped forward before he could think. "I'll take her," he said. Everything went silent for a moment. Then the crowd exploded with laughter. You want this? A human buying trash? She'd die in 2 days." Jonas ignored them. The auctioneer laughed but handed him a small data chip, the ownership transfer. "Congratulations," he said mockingly. "You bought a problem." Jonas didn't answer. He only looked at the girl. She kept her head down, her hair hiding her face. Slowly she lifted her eyes. For 1 second, Jonas saw something he did not expect, bright silver lines glowing in her pupils. Like light trapped inside her. But then she looked away quickly. Jonas walked toward her and gently extended his hand. She stared at it, confused. Then she placed her small cold hand in his. Her skin was rough, but warm enough to show she was still alive. As soon as he touched her, something strange happened. A soft pulse of light traveled up her wrist, quick, faint, and then gone. Jonas blinked. Did she do that? Or was it his imagination? The girl pulled her hand back fast, almost frightened. She hugged herself again, as if expecting another hit. "You're safe now," Jonas said softly. "Come with me." She didn't reply, but she followed him quietly. Every step she took was careful, nervous, as if she expected someone to drag her back. As they walked away, Jonas heard the traders whisper, "She has the mark. He doesn't know what he bought. Poor human. He'll regret it." Jonas tried to ignore the strange comments, but his mind kept replaying that glowing pulse he felt. Maybe she wasn't as useless as they claimed. When they reached the old transport vehicle, the girl stopped. She looked at Jonas, then at the vehicle, then back at Jonas again, like she was asking for permission. "You can sit," Jonas said gently. She climbed in, curling up in the corner like a frightened animal. Jonas sat on the other side and started the engine. The vehicle shook but moved forward. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Jonas noticed her staring at a broken mirror. She looked at her reflection as if she didn't recognize herself. Her eyes shimmered again, silver lines dancing softly. He watched her quietly. Maybe she wasn't broken. Maybe she wasn't useless. Maybe she was hiding something the world never cared to see. As they drove out of the marketplace, Jonas realized one thing clearly. This $5 purchase was not normal. Something about this girl would change everything. He just didn't know how yet. The ride back to Jonas's home was quiet. The alien girl sat curled in the corner of the transport, her knees pulled tight to her chest. The dusty clothes she wore looked too big for her thin frame. Jonas wanted to say something comforting, but he didn't know where to start. What could he possibly say to someone who had lived through so much pain? She kept her eyes on the floor, never lifting her head unless she had to. But Jonas noticed something. Every time the vehicle made a sound, she flinched. Every time someone shouted outside, she shook. She was not simply afraid. She was trained to expect harm. When they reached his home, a small metal shelter at the edge of the colony, Jonas stepped out and opened her door. She didn't move. "You can come out," he said gently. "No one will hurt you here." For a moment she didn't believe him. Her fingers dug into the seat. Then she slowly climbed out, stepping on the ground as if she had forgotten how to walk freely. Inside the house, she looked around with wide, uncertain eyes. Jonas's home was simple: a table, 2 chairs, an old screen, a small kitchen area, and a narrow bed against the wall. But to her, it seemed like another planet. She walked slowly along the wall, touching everything with the tips of her fingers: light switches, shelves, even the window. She touched them lightly, as if testing whether they were real. "You can sit," Jonas said again. She didn't answer. She moved to the smallest corner of the room and sat on the floor instead. Jonas sighed softly. "Do you understand me?" he asked. She looked up for a second and nodded once. Very small, so she wasn't mute. Or maybe she spoke only a little. Jonas took a deep breath. At least communication was possible. He brought her a cup of warm broth. When she smelled it, her whole body trembled. She reached for the cup slowly, carefully, as if she feared it might be taken away. When he didn't stop her, she drank too quickly, spilling some on her clothes. "You don't have to rush," Jonas said. She froze, thinking he would hit her for the mess. But he just handed her a cloth. She blinked at it and wiped her mouth. "Thank you," he added gently. She stared at him like she didn't understand why he was thanking her for anything. When she finished eating, she sat again in the corner. Jonas sat on the chair across the room, watching her quietly. He didn't want to scare her. Hours passed. She never asked for anything. She never complained. She just sat still, her hands tightly clasped. At night, Jonas placed a blanket on the bed. "You can sleep here," he told her. She looked at the bed, then at the floor. She hesitated. Jonas understood. She was used to sleeping on the ground, not on beds. So Jonas sat down on the floor first, showing her it was okay. She watched him quietly. After a long pause, she slowly stood, walked to the bed, and touched it with her hand. The softness surprised her. She pressed the blanket carefully, almost like a child testing a new toy. Then she lay down, still tense, still unsure, but she lay down. Jonas turned off the main light. The room became dim. For the first time, her breathing slowed. She was falling asleep, but then a sudden vibration hit the house. A supply ship landed nearby with a loud thud. The girl bolted upright, eyes wide with terror. Jonas ran toward her, worried. "It's okay," he said. "Just a ship landing. Nothing dangerous." She shook her head fast. Too fast. Her breathing turned sharp and panicked. Jonas placed a hand gently on her arm. The moment he touched her, a faint silver glow pulsed across her skin. Her eyes snapped to him. And for the first time, she whispered a word, her voice thin, broken, shaking. "Danger." Jonas froze. "Danger? What kind of danger?" he asked. She pressed her hand against her chest as if something inside her hurt. Then she pointed toward the sky. Jonas followed her gaze. There, in the dark clouds, a distant red light flickered, moving closer. Slowly, purposefully, someone, or something, was coming for her, and she knew it. The red light in the sky continued to blink, slow but steady, like a heartbeat in the clouds. Jonas stared at it with growing worry, but when he turned back to the girl, she had already curled into herself, shaking. Her fear was not normal. It was deep, instinctive, like she had seen that light before. Jonas knelt beside her. "What does it mean?" he asked softly. "Why is it dangerous?" She didn't speak. She only held her arms tightly over her chest as if trying to protect something inside her. The faint silver glow that Jonas saw earlier flashed again beneath her skin. "Let me see," Jonas said gently. She hesitated, trembling. But slowly, very slowly, she extended her arm toward him. Her sleeve slid back just enough for Jonas to see a strange symbol glowing faintly at her wrist. It was shaped like 3 curved lines crossing at the center, almost like a small star. Jonas's breath caught. He had seen many alien marks in his life, but nothing like this. The symbol looked alive, pulsing softly with each beat of her heart. "What is this?" he whispered. The girl's voice was barely audible. "Mark, bad. Bad how?" She shook her head, unable or unwilling to explain. She pressed her wrist to her chest again, hiding the symbol under her clothes. Jonas stood up and walked to the window. The red light in the sky was closer now, brighter. It wasn't a supply ship. It wasn't a trader's craft. The movement was too controlled, too quiet, too careful. Something was tracking her. When Jonas looked back at the girl, she was watching him with wide, frightened eyes. There was no anger in her expression, only deep helplessness, like she expected him to throw her outside now that he had seen the mark. He walked back to her slowly. "I'm not going to give you away," he said. She didn't move. She didn't reply. But her eyes softened just a little to help her calm down. Jonas brought a small lantern near the bed and sat on the floor. He didn't want to stand over her. It would make her more afraid. The girl watched him, unsure. "You can sit here," Jonas said, pointing to the edge of the bed. She moved like a scared animal, inching forward. Finally, she sat, though her hands remained tight in her lap. Jonas took a closer look at her face, now that the room was quiet. There was a thin scar below her left eye. Her cheeks were hollow. Her hair was messy but soft, falling around her like a curtain she hid behind. "You don't smell bad like they said," Jonas said softly. She blinked. She clearly did not understand why he would say such a thing. "You're not useless either." Her fingers twitched. Then something unexpected happened. A soft wave of silver light passed across her whole body, so faint Jonas would have missed it if he wasn't looking directly at her. It moved like ripples on water, then disappeared. Jonas stared. "Is that because of the mark too?" She swallowed. "Power. But broken. You have power?" She nodded slowly. "But hurt. Cannot use." Jonas leaned forward. "Did someone do this to you? Did they create that mark?" Her eyes lowered again. "Yes," he asked. "Why did they do it?" This time she answered with more fear in her voice. "They want me back." Jonas felt a cold chill run down his spine. What kind of people are they? She hugged her knees. "Hunters." Jonas heard the word like a knife cutting the air. Hunters, professional trackers, usually working for powerful organizations. If they were coming, it meant she was not just any alien girl. She was something valuable. Something they had lost. Something they wanted to reclaim at any cost. He turned to the window again. The red light had stopped moving. It was hovering in the same position, watching the ground. The girl whispered, "Hide." "Please," Jonas nodded. He didn't know why he cared so much. Maybe it was the way she looked at him with silent trust. Maybe it was the impossible glow in her skin. Maybe it was the sense that this girl was carrying a story much deeper than anyone imagined. He closed the shutters, dimmed the lantern, and wrapped a blanket around her small shoulders. She looked up at him with eyes filled with confusion, gratitude, and fear all at once. "You're safe," Jonas said. "I won't let anyone take you." But even as he said it, The ground outside shook gently. Something had landed nearby, and Jonas realized. Tonight, safety would be tested. The trembling in the ground grew stronger, like heavy footsteps moving closer. Jonas froze. The alien girl clung to the blanket around her shoulders, her silver mark glowing faintly beneath the fabric. Her eyes were locked on the door, wide and terrified. Jonas stepped beside her. "Stay behind me," he said quietly. She didn't argue. She slid off the bed and crawled behind him, pressing her back against the wall as if trying to disappear completely. Outside, something metallic scraped across the dirt, slow, intentional. Searching. Jonas peeked through the smallest crack in the shutter. At first, he saw nothing but darkness. Then a thin beam of red light swept across the ground, scanning. It passed over the house once, twice, then stopped directly on his door. Jonas's heart pounded. "They found me," the girl whispered. Her voice shook like a fragile string. "Who exactly?" Jonas asked, never taking his eyes off the door. She swallowed hard. "Hunters. They take those with marks. They bring them back for testing." Jonas felt anger rise in him. Testing? So she was not born with the mark, it was forced on her. "Why you?" he asked. Her breath trembled. "I escaped." Before Jonas could ask more, someone knocked on the door. Not loud, not aggressive. Just one slow, cold knock. Jonas didn't answer. A deep voice came from outside. "We know she is inside." Jonas's stomach tightened. The voice continued, calm and confident. "Human male. Open your door and surrender the mark asset. That girl does not belong to you." Jonas stepped back from the door. The girl pressed her hands to her ears, shaking violently. "They hurt me," she whispered. "They will hurt you too." The knock came again, this time harder. Jonas grabbed the tool closest to him, an old plasma wrench. It wasn't a weapon, but it felt better than nothing. "Listen," he whispered to her. "I won't hand you over." Her eyes filled with shock. "Why? I am nothing." "You're not nothing," Jonas replied. "No one deserves to be treated like property." Loud mechanical whir flashed outside. The door latch began to glow. Red it was melting. The hunters were cutting through. Jonas pulled the girl to a safer corner. "Stay low. Don't speak unless I tell you." The girl nodded quickly, though fear shook her whole body. The metal doors sizzled, softened, and then boom. It burst open, crashing to the floor. Dust filled the room. Two tall hunters stepped inside. They wore black armor with glowing red visors. Their movements were too smooth, too precise, half machine, half soldier. One scanned the room with a handheld device. A beep echoed. "She's here," it said. The girl gasped and covered her glowing wrist. The mark reacted to the scanner, pulsing beneath her skin like it wanted to answer the signal. Jonas stood between her and the hunters. "You can't take her." The leading hunter tilted its head slightly. "She is marked property. Not your concern." "I bought her," Jonas snapped. "Legally," the hunter replied. "Slavers have no authority over our projects. She belongs to us." Jonas tightened his grip on the plasma wrench. "She belongs to herself." The hunters paused for one cold moment. Then the leader stepped forward. "Move." "I won't," Jonas said. The hunter raised its arm. A glowing restraint device clicked open, ready to lock around the girl's neck. The girl let out a terrified cry. "Jonas!" Without thinking, Jonas swung the plasma wrench. It hit the hunter's arm, making sparks fly. The hunter barely flinched, but it stepped back. A second. Hunter raised its stun weapon. Jonas braced himself, but before it fired, the air filled with a sudden burst of silver light. The girl had stood up. Her mark glowed intensely, flooding the room with soft shimmering waves. Her eyes turned fully silver, bright and alive. Jonas stared in shock. The hunters stepped backward, their scanners glitching. The girl whispered one trembling word. Stop. The silver energy pulsed outward. It hit the hunters like a shockwave, not harming them, but disrupting their systems. Their visors flickered. Their weapons malfunctioned. They staggered. The girl collapsed immediately after, the glow fading from her skin. Jonas rushed to catch her before she hit the ground. The hunters recovered quickly. The leader pointed at Jonas. Interference detected. We will return. They stepped back outside, then vanished into the darkness as their ship lifted off silently. When the sky was quiet again, Jonas looked at the trembling girl in his arms. You saved me, he whispered. Her eyes fluttered weakly. You saved me first. And then she fainted. Jonas held her close, realizing one terrifying truth. The hunters weren't done. They would come back, and next time, they wouldn't leave without her. Jonas laid the girl gently on the bed. Her breathing was shallow, her skin cold. The silver glow that had lit the entire room only moments ago was now gone, like someone had switched off a light inside her. Jonas touched her forehead. It was burning. You used too much energy, he whispered. That's why you collapsed. She didn't open her eyes, but her fingers moved slightly, reaching for his sleeve. Jonas held her hand gently until she relaxed again. Outside, the wind carried dust across the empty road, but Jonas's mind stayed fixed on one terrifying truth. The hunters would return. And next time, they would not walk away. He moved quickly. He locked shutters, reinforced the door, checked his comms unit, and scanned the perimeter. The girl had done something incredible, something impossible. She had stopped military-grade hunters with a single burst of energy. No ordinary alien child could do that. Hours passed before the girl finally woke. She blinked slowly at the ceiling. Confused, weak. When she tried to sit up, Jonas helped her. You fainted, he said softly. How do you feel? She whispered. Tired, empty. Jonas nodded. What happened back there? What did you do? She looked down, picking at the blanket with trembling fingers. For a long moment, she didn't speak. Jonas didn't push. He just waited patiently. Finally, she whispered, I wasn't born with power. They put it inside me. Jonas felt a chill crawl up his spine. They experimented on you, she nodded. Many tests. Many hurts. They wanted a weapon that listens. Jonas noticed she didn't say a person. She said a weapon. That was how they saw her. And the mark? He asked. It controls my power. They can track me. They can stop me. She held her wrist tightly. But sometimes I can break the limit. Just for a moment. That moment saved our lives, Jonas said. She looked at him with confusion, like she still couldn't understand why he treated her like someone important. No one ever thanked me before, she whispered. Jonas shook his head. Then they were fools. A small, fragile smile touched her lips for the first time. It vanished quickly, replaced by worry. They will come back, she said. Hunters don't give up. Jonas knew she was right. He walked to a storage box, opening it to reveal old gear scanners, small tools, emergency equipment. He strapped a worn-out shield generator to his belt. We're leaving tonight, he said. If they know you're here, we can't stay. The girl hugged her knees. I make danger. I should go alone. No, Jonas said sharply. I'm not letting you go alone. She looked at him again, as if trying to understand the impossible. Why? She whispered. Because your life matters, Jonas said. And because no one deserves to be hunted like that. She lowered her head, overwhelmed. Jonas helped her stand. Can you walk? She nodded, but her legs were shaky. Jonas supported her arm, and together they moved through the house. She kept glancing at him, as if checking whether he would suddenly change his mind and push her away. He didn't. When they stepped outside, the night sky was thick with clouds. Jonas scanned the horizon. No red lights. No ships. Maybe they had a little time. They reached his old transport vehicle. Jonas climbed in and helped her into the seat beside him. She leaned her head gently against the window, still weak. The silver mark flickered faintly beneath her sleeve, but not dangerously, just a soft, exhausted glow dot. As Jonas started the engine, she whispered, "Jonas? Yes? I did not save you on purpose," she said. "My power moved because I felt something here." She touched her chest lightly. It felt warm. "I never felt that before." Jonas's voice softened. "What do you think that feeling is?" She hesitated. "Safe, maybe." Jonas didn't speak for a moment. He simply drove into the darkness, away from the colony, away from the place where she had been treated like a thing worth only 5 credits. He looked at her. Small and fragile beside him, yet powerful enough to shake the world if she had to. "You're safe with me," he said quietly. Her silver eyes glowed once, very softly, and for the first time, she believed him, but far behind them, hidden by clouds, a red scanner blinked back to life. The hunters had found their trail again. The old transport vehicle rattled as Jonas pushed it faster through the empty desert road. The sky was dark, the clouds swallowing the moonlight. Beside him, the alien girl sat quietly, her head resting against the seat. She looked tired, but her eyes stayed open, alert, watching the world pass by through the dusty window. "Are you okay?" Jonas asked. She nodded weakly. "Just tired. Power takes much." Jonas tightened his grip on the controls. "We'll find a safe place, far from the hunters." The girl lowered her gaze. "Hunters follow always. They do not stop." "Then we'll keep going," Jonas said firmly. She looked at him with a soft, confused expression, almost like she had never heard anyone speak with such determination for her sake. But she didn't argue. She simply leaned back and watched the stars shifting above the horizon. Minutes turned to hours. Jonas kept checking the scanners. No red lights, no tracking signals. Maybe, just maybe, they had gotten far enough. But the girl suddenly sat up straight. Her silver eyes flickered. "Jonas," she whispered, touching her chest. "They are close." Jonas looked at her. "How do you know?" "My mark, it feels heavy. When hunters near, it pulls." Jonas cursed. Under his breath, "Then we'll take the canyon path. Harder to track." He turned the vehicle sharply, heading toward a narrow canyon filled with broken rocks and deep shadows. The engine protested, but Jonas pushed it harder. The girl gripped the seat tightly. "Is safe?" "Safer than the open road," Jonas replied. The canyon walls rose on both sides like giant teeth. The transport kicked dust into the air as Jonas navigated the tight passage. The girl's eyes darted around. "This place." "Dark," she said quietly. "Dark is good." Jonas gave her a small smile. "Harder for hunters to find us." She didn't smile back. Her mind was somewhere else, far, far away, remembering things she wished she could forget. "Jonas?" She whispered suddenly. "Yes? Why did you buy me?" Jonas blinked. "I don't know. I saw you there, scared, alone. It felt wrong to walk away." Her voice trembled. "People walked away many times." Jonas's expression softened. "Well, I'm not like them." The girl lowered her head. "I don't understand humans." "That's okay," Jonas replied. "Most humans don't understand humans." A tiny, fragile smile appeared on her face. It was the first real smile he had seen from her, but it didn't last long. Loud boom echoed behind them. Jonas snapped his head back. A red flash lit the sky. The hunter's scout ship had found them. "Hold on!" Jonas shouted. The girl gripped the seat as Jonas swerved the transport around sharp rocks. A beam of red light shot down from the sky, hitting the canyon floor just meters behind them, exploding dirt everywhere. The girl gasped. "They are fast!" Jonas's heart raced. "So are we." He pushed the throttle to maximum. "The transport." bounced violently, almost lifting off the ground. Jonas struggled to keep control. Another blast hit the canyon wall, sending rocks tumbling. One large stone smashed into the road ahead. "Jonas," the girl cried, "I see it." He jerked the steering bar, narrowly avoiding the fallen boulder. The transport scraped the canyon wall but kept moving. The girl pressed her glowing wrist against her chest. "I cannot use my power now. Too weak." "You don't have to," Jonas said. "Just stay alive." Another red beam shot down, but this time it wasn't aimed at the ground. It targeted them. The girl screamed as the beam hit the back of the transport, sending sparks flying. The vehicle skidded, almost flipping over. Jonas fought the controls with everything he had. Come on, come on." The transport stabilized, but barely. The girl looked at him with tears in her eyes. "You will die because of me." Jonas didn't look away from the road. "I'd die protecting anyone being hunted like this. But you," he finally looked at her, even with danger behind them. "You deserve a life, not a cage." Her breath caught. No one had ever said that to her. Not once. The canyon suddenly opened into a wide valley. Jonas pushed the vehicle forward. Behind them, the hunter's ship descended lower, preparing for one final strike. The girl reached out and grabbed Jonas's sleeve. "Don't stop," she whispered. "Never." The engine roared. The valley stretched ahead. Freedom was waiting, but so were the hunters. The valley stretched wide under a rising gray dawn as the old transport rattled across the rocky ground. Jonas pushed the controls as hard as he could, but the vehicle was slowing. Smoke rose from the back where the last blast had struck. The engine coughed, sputtered, and wheezed like it was begging for rest. Behind them, the hunter's ship glided through the sky, silent, cold, and merciless. The girl looked at Jonas, her silver eyes filling with fear. "They will catch us," she whispered. Jonas didn't look back. "Not if we make it to the ridge. There's a safe path beyond it." "They will shoot again." "Then we don't give them the chance." She held onto her chest. Her mark glowed faintly, too faint to use, but not completely gone. "You saved me," she whispered. I wish I could save you again." "You already did," Jonas said. The hunter's ship lowered, preparing another attack. A red beam aimed directly at them. Jonas slammed the brakes and turned the transport sharply. The beam struck the ground inches in front of them, exploding dirt into the air. The force lifted the vehicle off its front wheels before slamming it back down. The girl cried out. Jonas reached across to shield her with his arm. The ship circled around for another shot. The engine finally gave up, coughing out one last wheeze before dying completely. They were stuck. Jonas jumped out quickly and helped the girl down. She was weak and shaking, but she stood beside him. The hunter's ship descended just a few meters away, kicking up sand with its thrusters. A pair of armored figures stepped out. These hunters were larger, stronger, more advanced than the first ones. Their visors glowed bright red like burning coals. One raised its weapon. Jonas stepped in front of the girl, even though he knew he had no real way to fight them. "She does not belong to you," he said through clenched teeth. "She is marked property," the hunter replied. "Step aside." "No." The hunters moved forward. The girl grabbed Jonas's hand. Her small fingers trembled, but her eyes, those bright silver eyes, held something new. "Not fear, determination." Double quotes Jonas, she whispered. "I can try." He shook his head. "You're too weak. You'll die." She looked up at him with a soft, almost painful smile. "I would rather die free than live as a weapon." Jonas's chest tightened. Before he could stop her, she stepped in front of him. Her arms trembled. Her small frame looked fragile against the massive hunters. The mark on her wrist started to glow slow, then faster. Her eyes filled with silver light. "No." Jonas grabbed her shoulders, trying to pull her back, but she stepped away. "Thank you," she whispered to him. for seeing me, for letting me feel human. The ground trembled as the hunters aimed their weapons. The girl closed her eyes. Her entire body glowed. Bright silver, a wave of energy burst outward, soft like wind, bright like dawn. It washed over the valley in a perfect sphere. The hunters' weapons short-circuited instantly. Their armor cracked. Their scanners went black. They collapsed where they stood. Their systems overloaded, but their bodies unharmed. The ship behind them faltered, engines flickering, then shut down completely. Silence fell across the valley. Jonas stared in shock. "You did it," he whispered. The girl swayed. Her glow dimmed. Her knees buckled. Jonas rushed forward and caught her before she fell. Her breathing was light, uneven, too shallow. He cupped her face. "Stay with me, please." She looked at him weakly. Her silver eyes were soft, glowing only faintly now. "You bought me for 5 credits, she whispered. "But you gave me a world." Jonas felt his throat tighten. "You are my world." Her lips trembled into a tiny smile. She pressed her forehead against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "I want to stay," she breathed, "with you." "And you will," Jonas said firmly. "I won't let you go, not ever." He lifted her in his arms, holding her like something precious, something irreplaceable. The valley wind blew softly around them, carrying the first warm rays of sunrise across the horizon. The hunter's ship remained silent, disabled, defeated. Jonas looked down at the girl, who slowly closed her eyes, trusting him completely. "Rest," he whispered. "You're safe now." For the first time in her life, she believed it. And as Jonas carried her into the morning light, he knew one truth with absolute certainty. She was no longer a useless alien girl. She was the heart of his world, and he would protect her with everything he had.